How was everybody's weekend? Anybody want to share what they did for Thanksgiving? Not
Just
all.
hung out with family and ate good food.
Nice. I like it. I brined a turkey for the first time and it came out all right. So that was good. Yeah. Hold on one moment, please, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Where are we? I can't find it, so that's great. So we're obviously going to do our daily 10-4, and we're going to check to see what we've been keeping up with our conversations. It might be a little bit light. I totally understand that because we've been out on break for a little bit and all that fun stuff. But let's start at the top. I'm just pulling up some of my files. I'm going to post this in the chat. So if you don't have the material in front of you, if you go to the chat box, I will post all the fun stuff for us to follow along. And we are on power session number 9, make and receive offers. US manual. Let me just post this in the chat real quick. Why isn't this coming up? Nothing works whenever I need it to work. Where are we? Where's the chat? There's the chat. Okay. So if you go take a look in the chat, I just posted all of the course material for today. Before we get into that, let's screen share the fun little daily 10-4 we got going on. Adam Nasser, are you on the call today? No, Adam? All right. Randy Graves. Michael. Emery Orr. I don't think Laura's on. Irene.
Hi, Jared.
Hey, Irene, how goes it?
Yeah, a long time.
I know.
Working.
Forever.
Yeah, sorry, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm working.
How's work?
You know, so far so good. Yes, I'm trying to publish the new magazine here. So trying to wrap it up here in the office by the end of this year, and the next year, the new chapter, we'll see.
Nice.
How it's gonna go.
So did you do any contacts, any calls?
No, I haven't done any calls, but I did some contacts. I would say like 11/7. But yeah, it's just been crazy busy.
I hear you. Well,
yeah, I'm sorry.
No worries. I'm gonna give you 0-0. Bad, Irene. No, very good. Awesome. Okay. I think we skipped one because how are we on 9? Oh well. I just go by what they send me in my email. Awesome. Thank you so much, Irene. Derek J. Edwards, are you on, my buddy? I don't think so. No. Okay, let me just see who else is on. Who's C? I just see a C.
It's Cindy. I don't know why. I already changed it to my full name and I don't know why it's not doing that. Sorry.
You know what? That's funny because my iPhone, I told it to call me Master when I first got an iPhone like 10 years ago or something. And whenever like I talk to it, it goes, "Thank you, Master." And I'm like, oh, this is so embarrassing. So don't worry, I feel your pain. Okay, Cindy, did you do any calls over the break?
Yes, I did. And I did 5 out of 5, I want to say.
5 out of 5. I like it.
And I got a little discouraged because I didn't know what to say when someone straight out told me that they would refer me people for a 2% commission when they don't have a license.
Huh. Interesting. Like 2% finder's fee or a full 2% commission of the purchase price?
I think she's like, well, you know, a 2% referral fee.
Huh. So
So I
2%.
didn't know what was the proper response to that,
Legally, we're not allowed to give,
which is what I remember.
but you could say, listen, I can't legally give you a commission, but I could hire you on a case by case basis as my marketing, director, and you could work out something like that. I know that might sound a little bit wraparound, but send me a text message after class and we can talk. But yeah, so technically we're not supposed to give anybody a commission who's not a licensed agent.
Okay.
But
Your number's in the directory, right? Or can you just put it in the chat
yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
or your email, whichever you prefer?
Nah, give me a call. It's a lot easier.
Okay, cool.
590. Awesome. Very good. Awesome, Cindy.
Thank you.
Yeah, and those are always kind of gray areas. It's actually not supposed to be a gray area, but we'll talk later. Okay, I think I just saw Derek Edwards get on the line.
Good morning.
What's up, buddy? I miss you.
It's been a minute.
I know. How was your break?
It was good. Good time spent with family and just a few friends, I guess.
Nice. Did you have a chance to reach out to anybody, talk about real estate? You're like, yo, I'm gonna be a licensed agent. What's up?
Yeah, just a little bit, little bit more in preparation and that sort of thing, and in regards to that. But pretty slow week compared to other ones. Yeah.
Awesome. What do you have any idea on numbers you want to share?
I would say probably over the course of the break of a week or so, probably reached out to 5-6 people, and had some interesting conversations with about half of them. Just a lot of them were kind of follow up as well as to people that I had talked to beforehand.
Awesome. Very cool. Any cool combos that you want to share with the class, or just kind of come say come see?
Yeah, no. The week has been so crazy for most everybody that not too much is moving right now.
Nothing too heavy. Hey, well, when I get down to me, I'm gonna flip that on its head. So I don't agree with you, but awesome. I like it. Jimmy, are you on? No. Yes. No. Okay. Carolina. Sharon Jenkins. Matthew Doherty. Z. Monica Berrigan. I see you, Tanya. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was amazing. Sorry I'm late.
Oh, you're all good. How did you have a chance to talk to what did you do for Thanksgiving, more importantly?
Just a little eating contest. Went to 2 different households, so totally did what Governor Newsom told me not to, but
Good stuff.
it was safe.
Hey.
It was all safe. It was family.
We all gotta take our own, appropriate risks that we feel is appropriate for our own lives. But
Yeah.
Sonia, how'd the conversations go?
So I did not place any like cold calls. I'm working with 2 buyers and 1 person looking for a lease. So I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now. So I didn't want to add to my plate.
So I'm gonna give you 3 and 3.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Nice. And I hear you on that. I got a bunch of stuff. Fatima, how about you?
Hi, yeah, so I made about 180 calls and I talked to about 90 people.
Atta girl. Any interesting calls that you want to share with the class?
I did have someone who was interested, but then they never like followed through with me. So, but
Nice.
yeah.
Did you put them on a drip campaign maybe?
I don't know. I feel like this person is like, I felt because when it came down to the money part, like I feel like I never got a response. So
Ah.
I feel like he's not an accurate person.
Yeah. And listen, that happens a lot, and sometimes you just got to feel that out and go with your gut. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Where am I? Sunny. Rochelle McKinney. Devin Martin. I think I got you already, Cindy. Maggie Pay. I see you, Ellie.
Hello. Sorry, I
Hello.
can't be on video today.
All good.
I had a very not very good week the past week. So I did I contacted people and I got an answer for 3 of them, and I'm working with 2 developers. So I'm working what I already had basically.
Nice. How many altogether again?
How many what?
How many contacts or calls did you make?
Oh, I did 10 and I have contact with 3 answers back with 3.
Nice.
Yeah, no, not too good, but hopefully this week I'm gonna do better.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Listen, sometimes we kind of get a little bit of a lull during the holidays, but we bounce right back at it. Okay. Michael Kinnaman. Cinnamon. Nope. All right. David Babajuni. Masha. And Jared. All righty. I did 120, I think it was 128, and I talked to 86, I believe. So I crushed it, y'all. And so when I was talking to a few people that we just went over right now, we were talking about, things are slowing down. Not a lot of people are active. I had 2 open houses this weekend. Well, not open houses. They're scheduled showings. And I had over 120, what was it? 128, something like that. People came by, all looking to buy my listing. So with that said, do you think that people are not active right now, or do you think they're active right now?
Definitely active.
Bingo. I love it. So yeah, absolutely. Very active. I already have 5 offers on my listing. And the deadline is on Wednesday. So I'm hoping to get a couple more. All the offers, by the by, are over asking. And
Awesome.
yeah. And I'm not saying that to brag. What I am saying it though is to give it as an example to everybody on the call that even though what we feel, we might sometimes feel that people are not active. We might feel that people are not interested, but what we feel is sometimes a little bit detached from reality. And the only way you're going to be able to figure out what's real and what's different from how I feel and whatever is to be in action. Always be in action. During the power session this morning with Josh, I was talking about how, frankly, the one time that I feel the most fear is when I'm stagnant and I'm not doing anything. I'm just ruminating. I'm thinking about, oh, this doesn't work. Oh, this won't do this. This won't do that. And that's how I feel. And that's dictating all of a sudden my actions. But if all of a sudden I take that feel and push it to the side and just say, hey, I need to be in action. I need to be in motion. That fear goes away very, very quickly. And all of a sudden that fear turns into flow. And when you get into flow, you start getting into production. And so I just want to encourage everybody. I know we had a lot of turkey over the holiday and we got that tryptophan in us and we got sleepy and tired and all that fun stuff. But, take a Red Bull, get back into it and hit the ground running, because one thing that I've noticed this year is, as horrible as the coronavirus has been, it has taken away the seasonality of our business. Usually people would not, buy houses during the winter months or the fall months because, the holidays are around, this or blah, 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 blah. You're going traveling, you're seeing family. And while some people are seeing family and some people are traveling, the mass majority of us, I would say, are not really doing that. We're seeing, immediate family members. We're seeing family who lives in the same city as us. Most of my family that I see over the holidays are on the East Coast, or they're up in Oregon, or they're in Washington, or they're wherever. And usually I'd be traveling right now. Right now I'm not. So, I kind of had to press pause on the holiday spirit, and I just kept acting like, hey, this is August all over again for me. I'm trying to ignore the fact that holidays are, coming up, because frankly, I'm just going to be like my mom and I, and maybe, somebody, this girl that I'm dating, that's probably it. And frankly, she probably has other stuff that she'd rather be doing than seeing me. So, who even knows about that? So the point that I'm trying to get at is that try to be in motion, try to get out there. And what I've noticed is that, sorry, I'm looking at a squirrel and I got distracted. Is that, being in motion is the best thing to do during this time, because frankly, what we do today is going to dictate how our spring turns out. And oftentimes, if we're in action during, December, January, February, you're going to see, March, April, May, just boom, with like buyers and sellers and all that fun stuff. So keep in mind also people looking for those sellers and those listings. Now is a great time to get out there and really start cold calling, sending out mailers, doing door drops, whatever you got to do, because that vaccine that's coming out, if people start taking it and those numbers start coming down, people are going to go, hey, now I can finally sell my house, because now I can finally go out to the East Coast and buy my house that I was going to buy so I can be closer to my grandkids. Whatever it is, all those, baby boomers who are holding on to properties, who are not selling because they're like, where the F am I going to move? I know my neighbors here, at least I have somebody I can talk to if I stay in Los Angeles. They're going to start thinking about moving again once this coronavirus thing goes away. That's my prediction. Who knows if it's true?
I have a question.
Sure. What's up, Cindy?
So listening to what you've been saying, do you feel like people are more motivated to move because of the fact, not because they're bored, but because they're trying to start over, because 2020 has like cleared their vision up with a bunch of stuff? I want to say like the motivation's more there versus what it was compared to the beginning of the year or last year.
Yeah. So what I've noticed is that a lot of people, by the by, if I forget where I'm at, remind me, but I'm just going to post the material for today's class in the chat again, because I saw a couple people hop on while we were going over the numbers. So if you still need the material, I just posted it again in the class. So in my opinion, Cindy, to answer your question, I noticed, so this is my experience. This is what I went through. It's different for every single agent out there. But for me, what ended up happening, excuse me, hold on, I'm trying to find my instructor version of the material. Sorry about that. There we go. So what happened to me is I had about four people ready to sell during the spring. The coronavirus was just hitting the news, and we didn't have any stay-at-home orders. There was no lockdown stuff. We were hoping that Trumpy was gonna do this, shut down the borders and all that stuff. And well, it didn't work out. The coronavirus came to the United States. All of a sudden, we had to shut down, all the businesses. Real estate was a big question mark. Frankly, we were at that time, we were not considered a necessary workforce or whatever. Obviously, that changed. So for a moment there, we weren't able to do any showings. We weren't able to do any of that kind of stuff. And all those sellers who were going to sell with me, every single one of them was going to move to another state. This one couple, the wife had a job change to the south. This other couple, they wanted to move closer to their grandkids in New York. This very lovely older lady wanted to move to either Las Vegas or something like that and just sell her house and just rent so she didn't have to worry about, upkeep and all that kind of stuff. When coronavirus happened, all those plans that they had just went up in the air. The doctor was like, listen, I could stay here, frankly now, because there's a huge need for me, blah, 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 blah. They were able to do telemedicine. She did a lot of oncology stuff, I believe. For whatever reason, the need to move out there kind of diminished. The other family members, they were older and they were very concerned about moving to a new state, especially one like New York that had such a high prevalence of the virus. A lot of the people in that city have like shared AC units and all this kind of stuff. So people were just getting it sitting in their homes, practically. So they were very nervous about that. They also didn't like the aspect of moving to a new state, not knowing anybody, and then having to, stay at home and, socially distance and not even, know your next door neighbors. Like at least here in Los Angeles, where they live, they could go for walks around the block. They could say hi to the neighbors. They felt comfortable. They had a familiarity with their neighborhood. So that's why they didn't want to move. The other lady didn't want to move for the pretty much same reason. I'm going to move to Vegas and, what? I can't meet anybody. Like I'm just going to be, lonely, and I'm going to be cooped up in like some condominium, overlooking the strip with nothing to do. So all those people decided they did not want to sell just because the practicality of moving to a new state for them just wasn't really an option. So that was my experience. Once the coronavirus, starts going down and goes away a little bit, all those reasons are off the table now. They're able to now finally move and do the things that they were planning on doing without any, real issue there. They're going to be able to walk around freely. They'll have a vaccine. It's supposed to be 90% effective. That's going to be, a really good thing for us. Now, for other people, they might just want to move to another place in Los Angeles. So that doesn't really affect them that much. But for people who are moving out of state, that's what my experience was. I hope that I helped that answer your question.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So in summation, though, I think a lot of the people, frankly, didn't want to sell just because of uncertainty, if I'm going to be honest. The other big reason is taxes. They don't want to sell because, for whatever reason. I think a tax something did pass recently. So there is a little bit more incentive. But anyway, that's a California issue. So let's keep an eye out for those sellers coming this spring, because I have a feeling it's going to pop back up again pretty soon. Okay. So today we are going over, well, this is so fitting because I'm going to be receiving offers and reviewing them on Wednesday. So this will be good. New share. Here we go. Okay. Can everybody see what's on my screen? Make and receive offers?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So thank you everybody for sharing your daily 10-4. Again, I'm telling you, people are very, very active, especially buyers right now. They are out in droves, like looking to buy. So I highly recommend keeping that on your horizon, in your viewpoint, and also, frankly, do the work now so you can have a really, really powerful spring, because it usually takes a couple months for somebody to list their house. So get in on it. Hi, Jared. I'm a new agent. I just joined KW. Hey, George Gasper. How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you. I'm just let you know.
No, awesome. Feel free to speak up and chime in and say hi. So George just joined Keller Williams last week. So everybody give George a nice big hello if you could.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, George.
Awesome. So George, what we were just doing, I don't know if you missed it, but I'm going to go back to you real quick. And I think this is an important thing. We are doing what we call our daily 10-4, and we're reporting our numbers. So on the screen that I just popped up, I'm going to put your name underneath me. Is it with a J, J-O-R-G-E?
Yes, correct. This is with the J. Yes.
Awesome. And what was your last name again, George?
Gaspar. Gaspar.
Perfect.
Oh, with the A, actually.
Oh,
Sorry.
Gaspar.
Gaspar. Yes.
Oh, I like it. Sounds cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. So George, what we're doing is in the red column where my mouse is right now, we have per day, to the right of it per week, and then in the yellow, it's number of calls made, actual contact. More of a custard actually than yellow. Anyway, so what I want you to do is tell us how many calls per day or contacts per day. So what do I mean by a contact, not necessarily a call. It could be Instagram direct message, a Facebook direct message, a text message, a phone call, an email, whatever mode that you feel more comfortable with. We want to make that many per day, which should equate to how many per week. And then every single Monday and Wednesday, we go over number of calls made, actually contacted. And what do I mean by actual contact? That's a two-way conversation between the person you contacted and them reaching back out to you. So for example, I write down, I'm going to do 21 contacts per day and 150 per week. And since last time we had this, actually it was just this weekend, I did 128 calls or contacts, and actually contacted was 86. That was a two-way conversation. So I'm at 67% of whatever I'm trying to do. Anyway, so George, how many people are you willing to contact? Now, by the by, some people have 5. So it's only 35 people, per week. Some people have 15. It's whatever you feel more comfortable with. To be honest, we try to reach for at least 10 contacts per day.
Okay, I can start with 5 a day.
5 a day?
Correct.
5, 10, 15, 25. It automatically says 25, but I say we should do this 7 days a week. So that's going to be
35, 40.
Yeah, 35. Yeah. Awesome. And obviously you just joined, so we probably don't have any, but have you been talking to anybody about, just getting into real estate?
Yes, I work full time also at Nordstrom. So basically I'm with contact with the customers all the time. So
Nice.
I have my business card consistently. So I'm going to can I count them as a contact as well or no?
Did you talk about real estate?
Sometimes, yes. That's why I want to be more aware of it.
The only ones we care about are the ones talking about real estate.
Okay. Sounds good.
Awesome. So we'll give you a pass for this class, but the whole point of this is to keep ourselves accountable. And also just frankly, the more calls people make, typically the more successful they are. So that's something else to keep in mind. But awesome, George, glad to have you on the class.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, let's get back into it. What happened there? Where did it go? There it went. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So today's expectations: learn how to present offers when you represent a buyer. Learn how to receive offers when you represent a seller. That's the easy part. Practice scripts so you can use throughout both processes. Learn how to set the stage for a positive negotiation. I've done all 4 of those today, which is, I'm having a very, very busy end of year. Okay, action reveal. We're going to review the mission assignments and get questions answered. Answer questions about any video watched. Provide your ahas from the mission. Announce your daily 10-4 activities results, which we've already done. make real play class calls in class. Sounds good. Okay, moving on down. Your turn, lead generate for business. This says to actually make some phone calls. We're gonna skip that because that'll just be nuts with everybody on Zoom. Okay, so get your head in the game. The offer, the process of moving a buyer or seller agreement to sales contract. Arriving at the offer stage is an exciting and rewarding time for you and your client. If you represent the buyer, your searching has paid off and your client has finally found their new home. If you're representing the seller, you've diligently marketed and prepared their property for sale and have received an offer from a prospective buyer or multiple offers. This is the point where, for the first time, the buyer and seller are coming together. This is a major financial decision and can be highly emotional experience for them both. That is for sure. Your goal is to bring them together and arrive at a sales contract in which both parties win. As with every phase in the progression, you need to work quickly and carefully during the offer process. And this session will prepare you to do just that. Okay, so we are here. So George, and anybody else who's new to the call, we really heavily rely upon our leads. And the only way that we get leads is if we're making contacts. Leads rarely fall on your lap. Tanya, were you talking to the class or just out loud? Oh, never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay. So leads this is our, figurative funnel. We're going to get as many leads as we possibly can. And then eventually those leads turn into appointments. And then eventually those appointments turn into agreements. And then eventually we're here at contracts. And then boom, close, payday. And George, don't worry, these classes just go around in a loop, in a circle. So you're starting at just a fine point. Okay, make it happen. The offer process. When a buyer has found the home that they want to purchase and the seller is looking forward to concluding the sale of their property, the fun and magic begins. Whether you are representing the buyer or the seller, this is another opportunity for you to shine as a real estate professional. The overall offer process with both parties is diagrammed below. Buyer, make offer. Seller responds to the offer in one of three ways. Counter the offers, accepts the offer, rejects the offer. Counters the offer, that's a negotiation. We're going to be countering the different offers out and we're going to negotiate between all of them. Accepts the offer, begins the contract to close process, rejects the offer. The buyer agent contacts listing agent to learn more. Don't assume no means no. And that's the truth. For example, as a listing agent, so for example, my listing that I have right now, we have 5 offers, 4 of which we're entertaining, one of which I was like, oh man, screw this offer. It's not a good offer. Why wasn't it a good offer? They were $7,000 below asking price, and all the other offers that we received were above asking price. Now, you'd assume that I would just go, oh, I'm not going to respond to this guy, and I'm just going to let him kind of hang there. Well, I, in fact, did review his entire offer as it came in. I noticed that he said escrows to pay 50-50, which is not correct. It should be each to pay their own. For whatever reason, you could have different escrow fees. So I wanted him to change that on the offer. And then I also informed him that every single other offer that we have on the table is above asking price. And if he would like to resubmit, I would suggest doing so now. Otherwise, we would likely not counter that offer. And sure enough, guess what? He came in and he offered up a little bit more. So we'll go ahead and play ball with this guy. Still wasn't, the highest bidder, but we're still going to play ball with him because it seems like they're willing to come up a little bit. Okay. So now I have 5 viable offers. Discussion. What emotions do buyers and seller have at this stage? What do you think some buyers and sellers are going to be like right when they're presenting offers or submitting offers or reviewing offers?
But there's going to be a little bit of anxiety,
yeah.
The buyer, like, are they going to accept my offer? And then the seller,
how much are we going to
depending
get?
on what the offer comes through, whether it's low or on point.
Yep, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, I mean, right now, I remember the first day after the my first showing, day on Saturday. My seller, she's such a sweetheart. Um, she wanted to walk me through the house again. I just wanted to make sure you remember that we upgraded this from, and it used to look like this, but now we upgraded it. If I'm going to be honest with the class, the upgrades that she did are like cherry oak cabinets, which are not an upgrade in my book. It's not really upgraded. It looks nicer than it was before, but it wasn't really, that special of an upgrade. But, she wanted to go through every single little detail, and she's like, and then I closed this wall off and I opened this wall up, and I in my mind I'm like, yeah, why did you close that off? Like, you should have kept everything open. Like, everything's open floor plan now. But, for her, culturally, she's a different culture from me. She wanted things to be a certain way and have certain things cut off. And so oftentimes they want to show off all the amazing upgrades they've done. But as real estate agents, we all know that not all upgrades necessarily mean that's an upgrade in value. Sometimes our own personal taste it's a personal taste upgrade. It's not a benefit of the property upgrade. It's just they personally prefer it to look this way. So keep that in mind. So my seller was going over all this stuff, sending me 20 different pictures of what it looked like before and what it looks like after. And I'm like, that's great, but nobody's really going to pay attention to that, frankly. And most of the people and most of the buyers who are coming into the property were like, I'm going to knock this wall down. I'm going to take those cabinets out. Everything that she upgraded, they're like, we're going to rip that out. We're going to knock this wall over. So, I mean, but as an agent, of course I sat there and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's so great. It's amazing. Yep, absolutely. I let them know that you upgraded it. Oh my gosh, I'm sure they're going to love it. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And, we're humming and hawing and we're playing the game, and that's fine. Now with buyers, they're constantly, I've noticed, if it's a brand spanking new buyer first to the market, they're probably going to write an offer that's well lower than what it's going to actually go for. And they're trying to like nickel and dime every little thing. They're like, well, we could probably take off like another $1,000 because of this. And then we could, and it's like, I hate to tell you, buyer, but there's also like another 100 people coming to this property. And, I understand that you feel that this, might not be worth this much, but another buyer probably will disagree with you. So, there's a lot of emotions involved. And there's that. Yeah. Any questions in regards to that? Awesome. Representing the buyer. Once your buyer finds a property they want to purchase, there are 3 main actions you need to take. Prepare to write the offer, present the offer to the listing agent. I'm getting blown up by somebody. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Prepare to write the offer. Before you write the offer, be sure you are fully prepared so you can work quickly and efficiently when you actually begin writing it. Use a checklist on the following page. Which of the steps that can be completed well beforehand before the offer itself? All of them. Okay. Checklist for preparing an offer. Obtain the buyer's pre-approval letter. Big time. Don't even listen. On a very rare cases, I'll start showing houses without a pre-approval letter. But usually that's only because I've already given them my lender's number. They're already talking to my lender. I just don't physically have that letter in my hand yet. And fine, I'll show them like 1 or 2 properties. But after that one initial showing, I'm not showing any other properties until we have a pre-approval letter. Produce a comparative market analysis. Absolutely. Excuse me. In this market, I usually don't prepare a comparative market analysis beforehand, just because I know how competitive it is. And if I'm working with a buyer, we're going to probably see 3, 4, 5 different properties in a day. And if I did a CMA for every single one of those properties, I wouldn't be doing the buyer justice if I just did a quick snapshot CMA and just said, yeah, this is what it's worth. I really need to dig in a little bit deeper oftentimes. So I don't necessarily do that, but it's not a bad idea. It'll really wow the buyers ahead of time. Review the TAC records for information about pricing history. Absolutely. I look at pricing history 100%. Ensure the property is still available. That's a good one too. Oftentimes, and I've been guilty of it, agents are supposed to mark the listing as active under contract within, within the first day of accepting an offer. If I'm going to be honest with you, I've been known to forget. And all of a sudden, 3 or 4 or 5 days later, I'm getting a call to see the property. I'm like, oh, so sorry, it's in escrow. I forgot to change it. It's a mistake. It happens. No big deal. But yeah, definitely call ahead and just make sure. When speaking with the listing agent, build rapport and gather as much information about the seller and the property as you can. This is important. I had a very, very busy open house this past weekend. Some agents are really, really, personable, excuse me, and helpful, and want to know, like, how can I make my offer stand out? What are your clients looking for? Are there any terms that they're interested in? Those are the agents that I want to work with. They're on top of it. They seem to really understand, what it is to be a real estate agent. On the flip side, I had a few agents who are like aloof, kind of treating me as like the other side, the opponent, the enemy. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to go in escrow with you. And I'm going to remember that when I'm reviewing the offers with my clients later. And I'll definitely tell them, this agent seemed a little bit combative. They might be a nightmare in escrow. Ask questions of the listing agent. Now, of course, if it's like a cash offer over asking with no contingencies, then I'll deal with it. But that's another discussion. Ask questions of the listing agent to discover what's important to the seller. Find out their time frame and motivation for moving. This allows you to customize the buyer's offer to address the seller's most pressing needs. For example, my property, I don't want any inspection contingency. Why? They just went through a bankruptcy and they don't have money to really give credits or do any repairs. So we're not going to do it right off the bat. So I'm asking everybody to have no inspection contingency. Inquire about the activity on the property, such as the number of showings. Obtain the seller's disclosure statement, which provides details on any physical problems with the property of which the seller is aware of. That is a great thing if you can get it ahead of time. I do not have my sellers fill that out until we're in escrow. Frankly, when I'm showing a property, I want to go, I don't know. All I know is what the seller has told me. The second I'm informed, I have to disclose. Some people want to do a pre-property inspection. That's their prerogative. I don't like doing that personally. There's an argument with some agents that say that you should do it. I know a very, very successful agent. I think it's Ron Wynn or Chad Lund, or one of them. And they always do a pre-property inspection. So it's already had the inspection, and then they request everybody to waive the inspection contingency. That's great. A lot of people do it. But if all of a sudden you find out there's a huge issue with the foundation because you did a pre-inspection, and you could have had a buyer who is like, yeah, I'll just do a general, and they happen to miss it, you just got lucky. So I don't know. Me personally, I don't do it ahead of time. I just do it during escrow. I feel like we have more leverage that way.
Hello.
He froze. He'll be back.
Okay.
Okay.
Is everybody still there?
Yeah, we are here.
Yeah, you froze a bit. Now you're on mute, Jared.
Now you can hear me. There we go. Sorry
There
about
you go.
my bad. Okay, sorry. My charger, I guess, got unplugged for some reason or another, but it should be in now. Where was I? Okay. Okay, find out if there are or have been other offers. If so, what is their status, and did they fall through? Let me go ahead and reshare this because I believe it is no longer sharing. Boom. Okay, perfect. All righty. Okay, so now we're going down to page 14, write the offer. Who has the material open? George, I love it. George, if you want to read the page 14, that would be awesome.
Keep these guidelines in mind and use the checklist on a previous page as you write the offer. Ensure your buyer knows that all checks, earnest money, are written at the same time the offer is written and are deposited upon acceptance. This will vary by area. Check with your team leader for specific guidelines. In my transactions, obtain the appropriate offer to purchase forms for your area and add it to the buyer loop if it is not already included. Ask your MCA for assistance. Bring your laptop or tablet with you when you meet with the client to review the offer and respond online. If the seller is out of the area, you can still present the offer using Edge and talk them through it by the phone. When your buyer makes an offer, they are essentially selling themselves to the homeowner. A cover letter makes your client's offer stand out and serves the following purposes. Summarize the offer, include a brief list with the bullet points that capture the key items on the offer checklist. Humanizes the offer. The sale the sale of a home is more than just a transaction on a paper. It is major life event for the seller, buyer, and their families. Describe the reasons why the buyer liked the house, including their favorite feature, and write a short profile of the buyers. These active activities will help to foster a personal connection between seller and buyer and increase the chances that your buyer's offer will be the one that is accepted. And create a buying loop and offer a document and invite your client into the loop. Then when you meet with the client, they can review and e-sign the offer directly on your laptop or tablet. If they are if they are out of town, all they need is the internet access to review the e-sign the offer. Use the email messaging featuring in my transaction to submit the cover letter along with the offer document.
Love it. Okay, little tidbit I want to add there. The cover letter, we can't do. We're encouraged not to do the personal letter to the seller anymore. Apparently, it's a fair housing practices issue. I'm going to say I disagree with it, but I'm not supposed to say that. But anyway, if you talk to our broker, apparently if you're doing a cover letter saying, my amazing, clients are a family, young family with a, great kid and, blah, 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 and whatever. And then all of a sudden this seller goes, oh, I know that, this neighborhood doesn't like little kids. I don't know. I'm just making up something. And then says, well, I'm going to choose this offer because it's a single person. I'm just making it up. It could be anything. It could be, because they submitted a picture and they don't like how they look. They're just saying that there could be reason and cause that people are accepting offers not based on the best financial offer, but based off of personal and objective reasons. Now, personally, I don't know too many people who actually, work that way. Usually if it's, the best offer, it's the best offer. But for example, I've had clients who go, I don't care who it is. I want to sell it to anybody who's not a developer. I always say, listen, we're going to go with the best offer. And that's how we should be going by it. But if my seller, tells me, you know what, I just like this family, I think they're cute, then I'll probably go with it. But the point is we're not supposed to be submitting cover letters to the seller, other than we really love your house and we think it's amazing. We love an opportunity to, live in it and da 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 da. So there's that. In any event, typically, if I know that I'm the only offer on the table and the house has been sitting on the market for 70 days, and I ask the agent, have you done any showings in the last week? And they're like, no. And I say, hey, do you have any offers on the table? And they say, no. Then I might feel okay with writing a cover letter, especially if I'm coming in under asking. That way there's no, objective, way for them to go, well, I'm going to pick this one over this one because of the letter. Anyway, I know that sounds strange, but there's new guidelines that just came out recently that we're not really supposed to be doing cover letters. So it is what it is. Okay. Whether or not you choose to follow that, I don't know. Checklist for writing an offer. Price and terms. Consult with your buyer to arrive at the most logical offering based on the CMA and items below. Seller's disclosure. Review this statement with your client to find out if there are any deal breakers. Conveyances. Consider what items in the home will transfer or convey to the buyer. Typically, attached fixtures stay and movable items go with the seller. In some areas, the seller disclosure statement will specify which items convey, and these items are often up for negotiation. For example, my listing, I noticed that they had some built-in speakers that are fixed to the wall. Are they keeping them? Are they staying? I don't know. I have to have that conversation with my sellers, and I also have to disclose that once we're responding with the offers. Earnest money. The buyer makes a deposit to the seller to show good faith in the transaction. This earnest money is typically deposited into an escrow account that is jointly held on the behalf of the buyer and seller. Determine an amount that would make acceptable for both your buyer. Okay, so just so you know, it's 3% here in California. In other areas, it's a little bit negotiable. Here, technically, I think it might even be, but it's always 3%. The earnest money is always 3% of the purchase price. So just forget that whole sentence right there. It's 3%. Time for the seller acceptance. Be sure to specify the time for acceptance. Financing terms. Make sure the financing terms would be agreeable to your buyer and seller. Buyer pre-approval letter. Include this letter from the buyer's lender when you submit the offer. Just so you know, pre-approval letter is very different than a cover letter. So the pre-approval letter is basically just talking about, we've reviewed your client, the buyer's financials and their debt to income ratio and assets, and we approve them conditionally, typically for X amount. Loan approval. Allow your buyer ample time to finalize their financing. Check with your lender for the average number of business days to be expected. So loan approval, that's very important. I had a bunch of agents who are like, I bet you're getting a lot of people who are going to offer you a 45-day close. Well, I can close in 35 days. I'm like, well, that's funny because all my offers are like 20-day, loan approval within 21 days, which is, So anyway, make sure you're keeping an eye on how many days they put in for their loan approval. If you work with, very, very good lenders, you should have no problem closing within 30 days. Now, we have a long conversation with, I have an echo feedback that I'm hearing. Do you all hear that? No? Anyway, make sure you have a good conversation with your lender if you're representing a buyer, and say, are there any issues that you might foresee in this loan? For example, there might be some financial problems with your buyers that might require a 40-day escrow, just because they're like, hey, we need some extra time to like kind of figure out, their financials and all that kind of stuff. Whatever it might be, just have that conversation with your lender up front so you know what to put in your offer. Closing date. Make sure that the closing date will work for you and your buyer, their lender, and the closing company. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are the best day to close because they are in the middle of the week. Therefore, You have an extra business day before or after if needed to complete the transaction. Home warranty. Review any home warranty considerations. Repair limits. Focus on the items the buyer is most interested in repairing. Bear in mind that law regulates how much money the seller can give to the buyer. Explain the limits to your buyer. Special clauses or contingencies. These are special conditions that must be met in order for the contract to close, such as satisfactory inspection report or the buyer obtaining funding, carefully written in any special clauses or contingencies your buyer would like to include in the offer. Cover letter. Includes a cover letter. Yeah, don't do a cover letter. do a summary of your offer. Okay, your turn. Buyer offer objections. Okay, with a partner, practice these scripts for overcoming common obstacles to writing an offer. When the buyer wants the seller to make repairs. Okay, so if I could have Tanya do this script with me, you'll read and I'll respond to what you're reading.
All right. Mr. Jarrett, until you have a physical inspection, we will not know how much these items will cost, and we could find additional repairs we may want to negotiate. Consequently, you have 3 choices. 1, you can offer the seller less money now to compensate for these items. 2, you can ask the seller now for a credit to repair these items using your own contractor. Or 3, I usually advise clients to wait for the physical inspection and negotiate all repair items at one time. How would you like me to negotiate this offer on your behalf?
Oh, number 3 sounds great.
Perfect, perfect. I'll get to working on that and then I'll touch base with you later.
Awesome. So yeah, so that's what I always recommend as well. So let's say they see, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong, this blah, 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 blah. I don't really like this. Great. Guess what? You're the buyer. You can pull out at any time, basically. So let's go ahead, write the offer. Let's get into escrow. And then we'll go ahead and negotiate all that at once. And if they don't agree to our negotiations, then fine, we'll pull out. But for right now, let's at least get into escrow so we can secure that spot. And move forward from there. I've been in multiple escrows with one buyer, frankly. Don't tell a lot of people that. They don't like that. But it is what it is. When the buyer wants to make a low offer, let's see if I could get.
I'll read.
Oh, Fatima, let's do it. Awesome.
Okay. Mr. or Miss Buyer, there are 3 ways to negotiate a transaction. The first way, you can make a low offer and run the risk of the seller rejecting it or countering back at full price to compensate. Second, you can make an offer closer to the asking price and be less flexible if there is a counter offer. And third, if you really want this home and are concerned that another buyer may want to purchase it, you can make a full price offer and give the seller what they want. It's your choice. How would you like me to negotiate this offer?
I don't know. I guess number 3 sounds good. So yeah, I mean, they're pretty similar, but yeah, that's all textbook stuff. So good stuff. I like it. Okay. Present the offer to the listing agent. Let's see. Could I get Derek J. Edwards? You want to read this one?
Sure.
Start at
the bottom
top.
right here.
Yeah, start at 18. Right there, the highlight.
Okay.
At the offer.
All right. Present the listing offer to, or present the offer to the listing agent. Right. That's where we're going. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 1, call the listing agent immediately to let them know an offer is coming. Number 2, using eEdge, invite the listing agent into the buying loop and submit the offer for the client's review and electronic signature. Number 3, request a reply within the shortest amount of time your market will allow. Oops, sorry there. And number 4, if the seller counters, consult with your buyer to either accept the counter offer or recounter the offer. At this point, it's important to remind your buyer of current market conditions. And do we want to go into the script?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. When the buyer's offer is countered and your buyer wants to recounter, it is important that they have the proper perspective. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, by
Hmm.
counting the seller, has essentially just sold you the home for 200,000. If we count it at 195, it allows the seller to walk away from you or accept another offer in the interim. Is the risk of selling away your dream home for only 5,000? Are you okay with that risk?
Oh, shucks. No, I'm not. I'd rather pay the $5,000. Let's do it. So yeah, so actually, I had a similar negotiation just recently. I think we had a inspection report come back, and there was like some, I don't know, like 2 or 3 like roof shingles missing, and I think there was, what else was there? Carbon monoxide detectors were not, in the house. I think there was like a little bit of mold in one of the rooms. I don't know. Whatever. Point is though, I think it's a pretty small issue. What's going on? It's only like maybe 1,000, 2,000, something like that. The seller, the buyer didn't even give any like monetary cost for any of the items. So I'm just like, well, what do you want us to just blindly agree to this? Like, anyway. So I said to my seller, I was like, listen, I don't know the exact amount of cost that it's going to be to fix all these things, but what if we, go ahead and offer them $1,000 or $2,000 towards closing and just, call it a day. And she was like, hell no, I haven't lived in the house for 5 years plus. And believe me, I get her. I'm on her side, believe me. Her ex-husband has been living at the house for the last 5 years. It's up to him to be taking care of the property. He's the one who should be paying for it, out of his proceeds and all that. And I was like, listen, I understand that. And I agree with you because I do. But here's the issue. If we reject this request for repair completely and just say, sorry, selling it as is, don't care, we're going to risk losing it. If we agree to doing the repairs, then, if your husband just drags his feet, you're going to get stuck with, paying for it up front. And I promise you, it's going to be much harder to see that money once we close. Now, if we go to number 3 option, we just go ahead and give him a credit at close of escrow. Hopefully your lawyer, when he distributes all the proceeds in the funds, will be able to, dock your husband for whatever, ex-husband for whatever the amount was. And then you might be able to, get that back as far as the proceeds. That might not happen. Your lawyer might not be able to do that. Who knows? But what I do know is if we don't do this and we don't, offer at least a little bit of money back to them, you might be losing a 6-figure payday over $1,000 or $2,000. What do you want to do? And she's like, I'd rather spend the $2,000 or whatever it might be. So I agree with her. So we're going to go ahead and write that into a counter later this afternoon. Okay. In fact, I think I need to look up some of this mold stuff because that can be an issue, which I just realized. Anyway, fun stuff. Gotta love real estate. Okay, representing the seller. When a buyer makes an offer on your client's property, there are 4 actions to take. Receive the offer, gather information about the buyer, represent the offer, present the offer to your client, respond to the offer. 1, receive the offer. First, thank the buyer agent for their offer. If you know or even think there may be other offers coming in, tell the buyer's agent at this time, This will create urgency. Then review the offer for accuracy and completeness using the checklist on the following page. This is very important. I notice a lot of people writing offers with each person to pay escrow to be paid 50-50. The escrow fees are going to be different for the seller and the buyer. So it's each to pay their own is what it should, is how it should read. Gather information about the buyer. Aim to learn, aim to learn as much about the buyer and their motivations as possible. Ask the buyer agent questions such as, how long has the buyer been looking? Have they been pre-approved by a lender? Do they have anything to sell? If they're out of town, why are they moving to this area? Why did they select this particular property? How did they come up with their offer price? Have they made any other offers on any properties? If so, what happened on those negotiations? These are all very important questions. I can't tell you how many times I've seen, buyers just write an offer to get into escrow, and then they get an offer accepted, and then they pull out within 24 hours. They don't even inspect the property. They're like, oh shit, I didn't know they were going to accept it. Well, actually, we found something else. Never mind. So, you definitely want to ask all these questions before accepting an offer. That's for sure. The more, and then also, for example, what I mentioned, when I was receiving offers on my property, I was constantly reminding all of them, hey, we're going to be reviewing these offers on Wednesday and getting back to everybody by Wednesday. I, however, am going to be reviewing first thing in the morning on Wednesday, so I highly recommend getting your offer in on Monday or Tuesday. Then all of them go, well, how many offers do you have? And I would tell them exactly how many offers I already have. Right now I have 5 offers. All of them are above asking now. So people who are on the last minute trying to see the property, who I'm getting blown up right now via text message, every single one of them, I'm just copying and pasting. The showing dates were Saturday and Sunday. That was it. We're not able to show anymore. I might be able to make an exception. Just so you know, the property, all offers that are in currently are above asking, and the best offers have removed the inspection contingency. So now I'm putting the ball in their court, being like, if you really want to see the property, this is what you're up against. So, we want to get in, make sure your clients are coming correct. Okay, checklist for reviewing properties. Irene, are you available to read the checklist? All right, sounds good. If I could get, Fatima's already done it. George has already done it. Cindy, how about you? Hello, this is Jared.
I'm here. I'm just, where are we? I got lost.
Second. Hey, Cindy. So we're on page 20. I'm sharing.
Okay, I'm here.
Now. If
Got
you could go ahead and read that, that'd be
From
awesome.
the top, right? Just wanted to
Yep.
make sure.
All the way from the top down to the bottom.
Okay. Be sure that the address is for the correct house. The price. Check to see whether the offer falls in range of the seller's expectations. Earnest money. Make sure the earnest money amount specified is acceptable to the seller. Check that the earnest money plus the balance of the down payment plus the loan equals the purchase price. Also review the option money if applicable. Time for acceptance. Check to see how long your seller has to respond. Be sure to get the content initialed by your seller if you go over the time limit. Pre-approval. Verify that the buyer is pre-approved by a lender. Loan approval. Be sure to have specific date for formal and final loan approval. Financial terms. Make sure the financing terms are agreeable to the seller. Make closing date. Make sure the closing date of the offer will work with your seller's schedule. Home warranty. Review any home warranty consideration. Conveyances. Go through the appliances and the fixtures requested by the buyer with the seller. Be sure all of them convey. Repairs. Review request repairs with the seller. Special clauses and contingencies. Carefully review any terms related to closing cost requests, etc. I lost it. Give me 1 second. Where did it go?
Is there a little bit more there, I think?
Yeah, I just lost my place.
Which one did you end with?
Oh, be sure all of them convey. Repairs. Review requested repairs with the seller. Special clauses and contingencies. Carefully review any terms related to closing cost requests, etc. HOA, seller disclosure, and MO disclosure. Make sure the seller has completed these documents. Have the seller sign or initial the documents where appropriate. Be sure to check the buyer has initialed and signed in the appropriate places as well. Possession date. Negotiate the date with the possession after closing to allow your seller significant time to vacate and clean the property if possible.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Okay. Any questions in regards to what Cindy just read? Awesome. We are all real estate rock stars. Okay. Present your offer to your client. You have received an offer from the buyer's agent and have reviewed this offer to make sure there are no questions or surprises. Big, very important. Now it is time to present the offer to your client. First, call your client to let them know you have an offer to present. Inform them that the offer price and closing date. If possible, present the offer to your client in person. Bring your laptop or tablet. That's all fine and dandy. I'm just gonna kind of give you my 2 cents on this real quick. Yeah, okay. So if possible, present your offers in person. I agree with that, but during coronavirus, which we are all going through right now, for the foreseeable future, that's not really going to be practical. And frankly, if you have a lot of other, escrows and stuff going on, that also might not be practical. So I would highly recommend doing it in a way and in a fashion where you have clear communication with your client, but it's probably going to be either via Zoom, a phone call, something like that. Frankly, when I have offers coming in, I send them right directly to my client. Once I get it, I respond back to the other agent. I say, thank you so much, received the offer. Then I send another email and it's just a simple forward. And I just, after reviewing the offer, I just go up with the highlights. The offer price is, $530,000. There is no inspection contingency. The loan contingency is 21 days. Boom, and I just send it off to them. And then I say, then underneath that I said, keep in mind, we will be reviewing all of these offers come Wednesday. Done. And every single email that I send off is just like that. And I send it exactly right when it comes in. I just forward it off just so I know it's off my plate and I did what I'm supposed to do. But at the exact same time, I had the conversation ahead of time with my sellers stating that we will be reviewing all of these in detail come Wednesday. And even though we, have that conversation, you're going to get 1.5 million questions from your seller. Well, what about this buyer? What about, what about this? What about that? And, I say, listen, I hear your concerns and believe me, I'm reading them as well. Let's discuss on Wednesday. This kind of sets up the playing field so they can manage their expectations and their concerns. And then also it gives you enough time to kind of plan out your day. I'm going to be cold calling from this time to this time, and then I'm going to be reviewing with all my buyers from this time to this time. And then on 2:30 on Wednesday, you and I are going to get on the phone and we're going to talk about, all these different offers, which gives me an hour, in advance to review all the offers, sniff out any issues with them, things that might need to be corrected. And that way expectations are managed and you've set up your day for success. Now, if you're just going to drive over to your, seller's house every single time an offer comes in and review it, I mean, more power to you, but that's nuts. That would go crazy. Keep the tone of the conversation as positive as possible at all times. Never criticize the buyer, their agent, or their offer. Sometimes it's good to criticize them. I agree with this. On the whole, you want to be positive about all buyers that come in, but as a listing agent, if I notice that, I hear the listing agents, the buyer's agent whisper to their buyer, "Don't worry, we'll ask for it in repairs once we get in it." I'm going to mention that to my buyer. Like, I'm going to say, "Hey, listen, this agent, they wrote a strong offer, but I remember they said while they were walking through the house, we're going to take this house up, apart once we're going through inspections." So if there is a real objection that you should bring up, definitely bring it up. If it's real, it's something to keep in mind.
Sorry, why would you bring that up, that they're going to take the whole house down during inspection? Like, why would that be a red flag? Because are they doing it to do a demolish and then do a rebuild, or?
No, I mean, okay. So what a strategy as a buyer's agent, so I'm taking my listing agent hat off and putting on a buyer's agent hat. When I go through the house, I'll usually coach my buyers. I'll say, listen, when we walk through the house, keep our comments to ourselves. The listing agent is going to be listening in on everything that we're saying. If we see some stuff that looks like it needs to be repaired, or if we see some stuff that we don't like, let's just write a little note to ourselves and then we'll discuss after once we're outside. Why am I doing that? Because if I have the listing agent hearing me going, "Oh, wow, this looks really old. Oh, I bet the wiring's totally shot. I bet the plumbing is really crappy. Oh, don't worry. We're gonna take this whole house apart during inspections. We're gonna find $100,000 worth of repairs and all this stuff. I know you're gonna knock the house down, buyer, but I bet that $100,000 that I can get off the purchase price is gonna help you with your remodeling budget. I just gave away my entire cards to the listing agent, and that, frankly, might be a red flag for me as a listing agent if I hear a buyer talking like that. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I'll give you another example. So I had a listing in West LA. We listed it for $1,595,000, I believe. I think so. Yeah, something like that. We ended up selling for 1.6. The offer originally came in at, I forget what it was, but anyway, I'll just do some simple math. I forget the exact logistics of it all, but we had a strong offer come in. It was above asking price by, let's say, $50,000 or something like that. And they went through the house and they brought in a plumber, an electrician, a earthquake retrofitting company, a termite inspector, what else? Foundation expert. They found over $150-something thousand worth of repairs. And then they came back and originally submitted, that we found $150,000 worth of issues, but we're just going to ask for $80,000 off the purchase price. That means they wanted a reduction in their original offer that would go down below the ask price, the original ask price of the house. And why are they doing that? They're trying to save some money for themselves. Now, I had known previously, because I had met with the buyers beforehand, that they were going to knock down almost every single wall and redo everything anyway. So I argued with the agent. I said, well, listen, I understand that your buyer was already assuming that she was going to be knocking down all the walls, redoing the wiring, redoing the plumbing, adding a bathroom. I already know that she was going to do that. So why are you now all of a sudden saying that you want, $80,000 off the purchase price? You were already going to demolish this and rewire it anyway. So then we went back and forth, and then we agreed to only a $30,000 price reduction. So we were still a little bit above asking price. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So basically what I'm getting at is if I hear, as a listing agent now, if I hear that the buyer is going to knock down the whole house anyway, and all of a sudden they come at me saying they want $100,000 worth of repairs or credits, I might be more inclined to play a little hardball with that buyer, if that makes sense, because I already know that they're going to knock it down. They should have factored that into it anyway to begin with. Now they're just looking for excuses to get a little bit of a cheaper purchase price. Yeah, it's a tactic. It's a good tactic. I've used it personally. I've gotten $30,000 off asking price, knowing for a fact that my buyers were not even going to do anything about it. They just wanted an excuse to get the house for a cheaper amount. So that's why I'm saying it might raise some red flags. Reach a decision, reach a point of positive agreement with your client on how they will proceed. And also another reason why I just want to, bring up some other stuff. I think I went on enough about it. Never mind. Explain the offer, discuss the days on market and number of showings, and review updated CMA to put your offer into perspective for your clients. Okay, good. I'm doing like 3 things at once right now. I'm sorry if I seem a little bit distracted. Reach a decision. Reach a point of positive agreement that with your client on how they will proceed. Explain that they have 3 choices. Accept the offer. If the offer is reasonable, they may accept the offer on the spot. Remind the seller that if they accept the offer, the property is sold at that point. Counter the offer. Consult with your client to determine a reasonable counteroffer amount. Write the counter offer amount on the contract or prepare a counteroffer form that the seller and have the seller initial it. Reject the offer. If the offer is unreasonable, the seller may reject it. The seller may or may not decide to invite the buyer to submit a new offer. So for me, I always ask them to resubmit an offer. If it's really low, if the offer is low, frankly, I'm going to go, hey, you need to come up a little bit. You know, you're way off the mark. You know, if you want to resubmit, that's great. If you don't resubmit, we're not going to counter you out in the seller multiple counter offer. Okay. Just by the by, besides Cindy, did anybody else have questions as to why I would bring up some concern about, you know, somebody, you know, whispering like, we'll try to get, you know, money off in the inspections? Anybody? No, we're good. Okay. Awesome. Your turn presenting offers. Derek, if I could role play this with you, I'll read it, but you respond to me. How does that sound?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, awesome. Presenting the initial offer to your seller. Hey, good morning, Derek. It's Jared with Keller Williams Realty. How are you?
Doing great.
Awesome, man. Hey, listen, we have an offer here for your review. I'm going to go through the offer with you. Is this a good time?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, the offer that came in is at $101,500,000. They're putting 20% down, 3% down as earnest money deposit, and 20% down as the total down payment. They want to close in 30 days, and they're asking for X amount in repair limits. What do you think?
I'd certainly love to go through those numbers with you and see if it makes sense.
Awesome. And listen, again, I think we're going to want to review all of these come Wednesday and see if we have any other offers come in.
Sounds great.
Okay. All right. Presenting a low offer to your seller. Never criticize or show a negative attitude to a low offer. Present all points of the agreement first before discussing pricing or other disagreements. Script. Derek, let's do this one again. Now, that's lower than our asking price, but it is an offer, so we need to decide what we want to do, what we'd like to do. Recommend that your client accept the... I don't know if I agree with this. Recommend that your client accept the offer script. I will urge you to consider this offer very carefully. Consider the value of it. Okay. Okay, listen. So I don't usually overprice listings ever. So frankly, this is interesting. I think that this is on the assumption that the listing is overpriced. So I think that's why I'm a little bit caught off guard. If you do have an overpriced listing, you might want to have your client accept a lowball offer because it's not a lowball offer. So keep that in mind during this section of the script. If you do have a listing that you as a professional real estate agent, through your comparative market analysis, because the house has been sitting on the market for over 3 weeks, because a new house just sold for a very, very low amount in the neighborhood that kind of plunged the average price per square foot of the houses, and now you have to reassess the value of the home. So with all those considerations in mind, that's when we would recommend them to accept the offer. So I want to be very clear. If you're pricing a listing and you're only like 2 days on the market and you're receiving offers and one's like really low, I would never recommend my client to accept that offer. So I just want to be very clear on that. Also, if it's a low price offer and you are priced appropriately, I think it's totally fine to be negative towards an offer. I don't understand that, frankly. But what I will say is listen, the offer is very low, but it is an offer. What I'd like us to do is keep this in the running and see if any other offers come in. And then on Wednesday, we'll review all the offers, including this one, and we'll decide if we're going to include this offer in the counters. But until then, good news is we have an offer on the table, which is great. So that's how I would kind of, I feel that that's like a negative positive way to kind of go at it, because listen, if it's a low offer, it's a low offer. There's no reason to beat around the bush about that. Okay. Recommend the script, recommend that your client accept the offer. Derek, I want you to read this one and I'll be the client.
Okay. I will urge you to consider this offer very carefully and consider the value of meeting your moving goals In the long run, meeting your overall goal of selling your home is the more critical need, correct?
Yeah, I guess so. I do need to move. So yeah.
Well, your property has been on the market now for 90 days, and the average time on the market for this area is 60 days.
Hmm.
Buyers are going to look at this same data, and they're going to see that your neighbor's house sold for X amount, and that your house around the corner sold for X amount. They're going to see they're going to want to pay fair market value compared to these other sales. If you accept this offer, the probability of closing and meeting your goal is 100%. You want to meet your goal, right?
I guess I do want to meet my goal. Yeah, we have been on the market for a while, so yeah. Okay, sounds good. Let's go for it. So again, this is under the assumption that you've been on the market for a while, you're a little bit overpriced for the market, and that's great. I have had those situations before, and with this divorce deal that I'm going through, we did accept an offer that was slightly, actually no, it was above asking price, but we had to reduce the price once because we were on the market for a little bit too long. We just had to have that conversation. Out of my control, I wanted to stage the property. The deadbeat husband did not. Oh well. Okay. Recommend that your client make a counter offer. Let's see if I could have Cindy. Do you want to do this script?
Sure.
Awesome.
We look at any offer as a positive thing. Initially, we always recommend a counter offer instead of rejecting an offer. It may be that we can negotiate this up to where we need to be. Let's put together a solid counter offer. We need to get it back to them quickly to keep things rolling and see if we can make this offer work. I think the thing to focus on here is the price you want to get for your house. Putting this offer aside, if you could get this home sold and closed in 30 days, what would you feel comfortable selling it for today? Let's put together a counter offer that would put us in the range where you feel comfortable. Remember, not all the offers are going to work, but it is a good sign that they're getting offers. You made this person's list on a house that they thought was one of the best homes for their money. I'll call the other agent and ask them how they came up with that price.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's definitely something that we always want to consider. We would much rather counter offers than just assume that they can't come up, because you'd be very surprised. Some agents like to hold their cards really, 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 really close to their chest. So they might even do a low offer initially because they're just waiting to see the seller multiple counter offer. And oftentimes as a listing agent, if I'm countering, the person who's at the highest, the person who offered, $50,000 above asking price on a $500,000 home, and everybody else is about $30,000 above asking price, I might go back to the highest bidder and say, listen, we have 5 other offers on the table. I'm looking, I'm asking for the following considerations in our seller multiple counter offer. Price, best and final. Conditions, terms, waive your, inspection contingency, and maybe somebody said a 21-day loan, or I don't know, 14 loan approval. I don't know, whatever. I'll match all the good, points of each offer, and I'll put it into the seller multiple counter offer. I'll cherry pick, like, this one has the best price. This one has the best, inspection contingency. The other offer over here has, a 20% down payment, whatever it might be. I might try to, match all of that. Now, their response to that may check all those boxes. It may check only a few, but I might respond a little bit differently. So for example, somebody was $50,000 above asking price. That person I'll say best and final to. The person who is $30,000 above asking price, I might say, listen, there's a couple people who are ahead of you as far as, offer amount. I think that if you could come up, a little bit, that would help. And then they're going to go, well, how much is a little bit? I say, well, let's just say ballpark, somebody may be $20,000 to $30,000 above you. Am I allowed, let me ask the class, am I allowed to do that?
No, because you're not supposed to give out personal information.
Actually, you're wrong.
Oh.
You absolutely can. If it's in the best interest of your seller to get people to bid against each other, absolutely you can. If your seller says, yeah, I want you to tell people that you have an offer for 550,000, I can absolutely tell that to another.
As long as we get seller's permission. Okay.
Absolutely. And it would be in their best interest, right? I'm working as their fiduciary. So you can actually totally do that. It's no issue there. Now, the other agents will not be happy with you, but you don't have to tell all the other agents that you're doing that. So yes, you can absolutely do that. So for example, the person who's, I'm making up these numbers just because it's easier to kind of, think about. So somebody's 50,000 above asking, and the other person's 30,000 above asking. The one thing I can't do is lie. I can't lie to another agent. That would be fraud. So for example, why did I say maybe to the person who's the highest bidder? I might say, listen, we have other offers on the table. I'm requesting best and final. Whereas the other person, might be 30,000 above. I'll be like, hey, listen, somebody could be, maybe 20,000 ahead of you. I don't know. Up to you. So keep that in mind when you're reviewing those things. So yeah, fun stuff. My mouse is now frozen and I don't know why. Well, I can't move my mouse right now. That's weird. Huh. There we go. Maybe my hand's cold. I don't know. Okay, any questions in regards to that? Awesome. Respond to the offer. Once you and your client have made a decision on how to proceed based on the offer you've received, you will need to respond to the buyer's agent. Notify the buyer agent of your seller's decision. If you are presenting a counteroffer, prepare the document in eEdge or Command. By the way, anybody who's new, eEdge is Command. So if you see eEdge, think Command. The document in Command, then present it in person if possible. What? Oh. Notify the buyer as your seller's choice. If you're presenting a counteroffer, prepare the document in Command, then present it in person. I've never presented an offer to an agent in person. That's weird. Request a reply within 24 to 48 hours or the shortest time customary for the market. If the buyer accepts the counteroffer, the buyer agent obtains his or her client's signature. Once both parties have signed the contract, retrieve it, the earnest money check and the option check if applicable. That's not applicable here. For the buyer from the buyer agent. The buyer agent may deliver the earnest money check to the closing company or put it into an escrow account. Check with your team leader. Okay, so here in California, we never touch checks, and you should never ever touch that kind of a check. You want it to be wired directly into escrow, just so you know. Here in California, we use escrow. All earnest money, all of that stuff is going to be sent directly into escrow. And in fact, escrow will reach out to the buyer's agent to set that all up. So keep that in mind. That's not applicable for our market. Presenting the counteroffer to the buyer agent. Okay, let's see. How many pages do we have today? I don't know. Okay. Respond to the offer. Once your client has made a decision on how to proceed based on the offer you have received, you will respond to the buyer's agent. Notify the buyer agent of your seller's decision. If you are presenting a counteroffer, prepare the document in Command, then present. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. Okay. Presenting a counteroffer to the buyer agent. Here's some more scripts. If I could have, Irene, are you available? Are you there or are you still gone?
No, I'm here, but I'm working. I'm so sorry, but I'm listening everything you're saying.
Okay, no worries. I'll give you a pass. George.
Yes, I'm here, but I'm driving. I'm so sorry, Jared.
All right, no worries.
I'm driving.
I can read Jared.
All right, Tanya, how about you and Derek do a little role play together for the class? Derek, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Both of you, I'd like you to go over this script that I have highlighted. I'm going to get a Diet Coke because I'm sleepy and I need caffeine. And I'll be listening in. Go for it.
Okay. Oh, you want to do the buyer's
No, go
agent?
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, good afternoon. This is Derek Edwards with Keller Williams Realty. Thank you so much for your offer. We appreciate it. It was quite a bit lower than what the seller had hoped.
Okay.
Yeah, the sellers have actually come back with a reasonable counteroffer that should work. The seller is counting back at X, and the rest of the terms in your offer are fine except for X, another X. This is something that will work for everybody.
Inspection.
Your buyer's getting a home within market. The seller is selling at a reasonable price, and we can all move forward and get this closed. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't know, because I really want that X. And so I'd like to negotiate further on that.
Eric, what would you say?
Well, I would do probably, I mean, whatever we're looking for in the best interest here. So absolutely, we'd love to, talk about that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Very fun. So yeah, so presenting counteroffer to the buyer agent. So let's review that. When you're presenting to a buyer agent who immediately says that they want to negotiate further on the phone, be like, well, I understand that you'd like to negotiate, but could you please present this to your client? That's what I would say immediately. Because this is what the seller has decided to counter at. And then if they go, well, I know I'd like to blah 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 blah. Like, I understand, but this is what the seller's countering at. And instead of deciding on behalf of our clients, wouldn't you like to have a discussion with them before negotiating on their behalf without their knowledge? That might be a good way to get around that. So.
Oh, I was just speaking because I thought, sometimes you already know what you're, what
Sure.
they want, and so that's kind of where I was speaking from.
I like it. Very good. All is right in negotiations. In my
Just
opinion.
being well connected.
Absolutely. Your turn. Work the offer. I like that. Work the offer. Break into groups. Okay, we'll skip that. Let the stage for a positive negotiation. I'm just going to go down a little bit. Okay, let me skip that a little bit. Oh, we're pretty much done. Yeah, I love it. That was a short one today. So before we get going, let's have a quick discussion. Is there anything that we covered today that maybe I disagreed with in the book, or something that like is left undiscussed? Anything that you guys would like to go over, and girls?
Well, of course, it's a lot of information, and you really don't capture it all until you put it into practice. And so I was paying close attention because hopefully my buyers will be putting in an offer soon. However, once the time really comes, then I'm going to have to kind of like go back through the material a little bit more intently.
Sure. And oftentimes what I've found is that when you're right in the thick of it, and you're reviewing offers and you're getting negotiations and you're whatever. What I find to be the easiest thing to do is to find the path of least resistance. What is the most logical thing to do from here? And then also taking in consideration what is in your client's best interest. You know, oftentimes when we're in residential real estate, emotions just blow up and they just balloon. And, you know, something that is really, quite frankly, simple turns into something very emotion filled and complex and, you know, argumentative and combative and whatever. And oftentimes you just want to take a step back, listen to your client's concerns, listen to their, you know, their mishigas and their complaints. And while you're listening to them, you know, always be like, I understand, I absolutely understand, I agree. You know, you may be right, and you know, it sounds pretty spot on. But you always want to try to find a middle ground. You know, I understand that you can't have this, but if we were able to do this and then that, and then also get this, isn't this your ultimate goal though? Okay, do you want to lose your ultimate goal over, you know, a couple $1,000s here or there? You know, oftentimes when you put things into very simple perspective, it'll get over most objections. Now, frankly, sometimes you'll be dealing with somebody who mentally might not be completely stable, frankly, if I'm going to be completely honest. And, you know, those are unfortunate circumstances, and it is what it is. But usually a cooler head prevails. So whenever you're in negotiations and you're dealing with clients, you know, right now I have a couple deals going on, and one of my clients, you know, needs to find a replacement property, a rental. And, you know, they haven't even considered starting to pack. And I'm frankly a little bit nervous that we're going to have a lease back because of whatever reason. You know, I'm already working ahead of the curve to try to figure out what are going to be some ways to get them to, you know, really get in their mind, hey, now is the time that we should be figuring out applications for rentals or rental properties or stuff, or replacement property in the interim. And, you know, I explained to her, you know, I was like, what's your budget for your new rental? And she was like, oh, $2,200 a month. And I said, okay, great. Well, if we mortgage your house right now and you had to do a lease back, it would be, I forget what the number was, but it was definitely well over $2,200 a month. So I basically had to have a conversation with her. Is like, you know, right now is the time that you should be looking for a new place. So that way, when we get into escrow, you're able to start your move. You're able to get into a new property. You can save on movers. You'll have an entire month to move your entire house all the way over to your new rental property, and you'll save money that way. Plus, your new rent is going to be $2,200 a month, not $3,600 a month or $4,000 a month for you know, covering your, you know, your new buyer's mortgage. Doesn't that make more sense for you? Oh yeah, it does. Okay, well, great, let's get on it. And so I've already been having those conversations with them because we are reviewing offers, we're getting offers in. So there's always going to be a negotiation no matter what. And it might not even just be about the offer. It might be about, you know, other stuff. So anyway, thank you all for joining today. That's all we got. And, you know, please keep up with your daily 10-4s, and we'll reconvene on Wednesday.
Thank you, Jared.
Cheers.
Thanks, Jared.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you, Jared.
Thank you. Bye-bye.